Next, welcome back to the channel, your local bedhead here. We are going to be diving into a channel I have not watched in a while, and that is the Side-Eye Guy. Love this dude's content. This guy is a class act. He's hilarious. I obviously admire this dude for what he does. If you have not, check out his channel. I seriously highly recommend it. But we're going to watch something that he posted recently, which I've been curious about for a while, because I've never seen the footage for this. But this is apparently when Ed Warren loses his temper a little bit on like a television show, and I'm pretty sure we got a hint at that in the Conjuring movie, where in the beginning of the film you see they're on like a talk show, and then someone tries to question Lorraine's abilities, and then he gets up and he starts like questioning and pointing his finger at the person questioning Loraine. And now, looking like at the movie and looking back on that, I take this in such a different way now. Now I find it suspicious when people kind of get on the get defensive and go at the attack when someone starts to question their abilities. It kind of makes them look suspicious, oddly enough. So I'm kind of curious to see the actual clip, if we're going to see it, and get the context of what this actually, what he did. I'm curious to know. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, go support Side-Eye Guy's video, and let's go ahead and dive into the video because I'm genuinely curious to check this out. Oh.
Hey, segues. A little while back, I was invited by Fear the Living Pod to watch and react to a pretty wild video. So wild, in fact, that here I am now doing my own video on this. But since I had such a good time with the guys from Fear the Living Pod, I'll be splicing in some clips from that video into my own. Once you finish with my dumb video, if you want to pop on over to Fear the Living Pod and show them some support and watch that video as well, that would be awesome. So, what we're going to be watching today is when the Snedeker family went to the Sally Jesse Raphael show back in the 80s. The Sally Jesse Raphael show was your standard daytime talk show, very much aimed at stay-at-home mums and the unemployed. The Snedeker family were made famous by an old Ed and Loraine Warren case, which later became pretty much what we call today a haunting in Connecticut. I got to admit that...
Interesting. Okay, so this has nothing to do with the scenario from the second movie, the Enfield Poltergeist, which, okay, this is a completely different thing. I gotcha. And the setup looks different too. They have the family on there with them. I mean, it looks okay. All right.
Before I watched this video with Fear the Living Pod, I wasn't overly familiar with this real-life case. I'd only seen that movie. Well, what you're about to watch here now...
Which, if you have not seen The Haunting in Connecticut, surprisingly, it is a pretty eerie little film. It's not one that anybody talks about in recent times, but I remember watching that movie as like a teenager, and for some reason, it chilled me out. It freaked me out. It got me hiding under the covers, if you will. Like I was a little bit shaken.
Now is when prime time daytime TV trash meets the paranormal, and it is fan-fucking-tastic. Towards the end, the Warrens themselves turn up on this show, and it just descends into utter chaos. For those of you who've seen this before, you know how wild this is going to get, and for those of you who have not seen this before, brace yourself.
Meet Al and...
I'm excited. I've been dying to see these clips of them on talk shows from back in the day. All right, let's go ahead. No, I can't wait.
Carmen Snedeker. They are here with their son, Michael,
they look
and
miserable.
Their niece, Kelly. Later in the show, we'll talk with neighbors, including one who now lives in the very same house the Snedekers claim is haunted. He says that Al and Carmen are making up the story.
You don't say.
Carmen, we're going to...
And this is also a reoccurring thing I have noticed with like these very popular haunted houses that, you've been hearing stories about. People are saying that it's haunted, it's scary, like the Amityville Horror House. And then when you get around to other people living in the house, they're like, I don't know what the fuss is about. I don't know where they're saying it's haunted. I have not experienced shit. Even the Conjuring house was very similar. The owner, after the Perron family, they said that they weren't experiencing like anything in the house. And then of course the excuse is the spirits must have moved on. They probably were just attached to the family, yada, yada, yada. There's always an excuse why it's not haunted anymore, right? So I've seen it so many times. Amityville, Conjuring house, and apparently this one.
Start with you. You moved into this house in the first place because your son Stephen was in the middle of receiving treatments for cancer at a local hospital. And the house you moved into was a former funeral parlor.
The former funeral parlor detail is important to keeping your memory bank for when the Warrens turn up.
Carmen, although your children told you they heard strange sounds and noises and they saw ghosts, you didn't believe them at first?
No, I didn't believe them. I didn't believe in ghosts. I thought that they were things of imagination. I'd always been taught that.
I've got to find something to put all of these ghost stories to rest. I've had it up to here with ghost stories.
I know exactly how you feel.
Now, Kelly, you're the niece. You came to live with your aunt.
Yeah.
And you say you were molested by an entity. Tell me about that.
Yeah, you heard that right.
If I'm not mistaken, there's a book based on this scenario, and I'm pretty confident my friend Cinnamon Spice Rack has actually read this book and has read me pages and like, because we were huge into the paranormal at the time, and I'm still huge into the paranormal, but we were really huge into it, and she's reading all these books, and she came across The Haunting in Connecticut, and I'm pretty sure this was mentioned in the book. I'm not sure what book it is. I gotta ask her, but yeah.
The ghost SA'd not only this young lady here, but all of the family members. Funny, I don't remember this little detail being in the TV movie, because it fucking wasn't.
Was it a TV movie? It's a pretty damn decent TV movie if it was a TV
Now,
movie.
since I want to keep this video light and fun, and I think the vast majority of us can agree that it's a little bit tricky getting a chuckle out of... So I'm not going to focus too much on Kelly's story here, since she does seem to genuinely have a hard time telling her story and all this, which is very sad to watch. The cast of Fear the Living Pod really know their shit about this case, especially my good friend Stevie from the Truth or Demons podcast, because of course she knows so much about the Warrens. Stevie provides her theory, and we have to stress here, it is just a theory or a hypothesis or whatever the fuck you want to call it, that Kelly may have been SA'd by one of her cousins or the sons of the two parents sitting on the stage. And the rest of the family just use this ghost stuff to try and cover up or manipulate Kelly into thinking that this is in fact what assaulted her. Which
isn't like all that crazy to talk about. As fucked up and as scary as that is. Yeah.
I know sounds batshit crazy and all, but if there is one thing I have noticed by doing this channel as long as I have, is to never underestimate what the human mind is capable of to protect itself from harsh realities. Again, if you want to hear more about all this, please go watch the Fear the Living podcast video.
All right, Al, you say strange things were happening to you and Carmen at night when you were in bed. In order to fully understand, we want you to show us what happened. We have a bed here today that is about the size of the bed which was in the house. So we're going to set the scene.
That's right. The producers of the Sally Jesse Raphael show brought a bed into the studio for the Snedekers to lie in it and retell their ghost stories. How? Why? What is this? It's so bizarre.
Now you're about ready to tuck in for the night when all of a sudden you hear music like this. What happened next?
Well, Sally, the music would wake me up at night.
The music and lighting is so ridiculous. What the fuck is going on?
I'd be sound asleep. I would hear the music.
He's not. It doesn't even look like he's on the bed all the way.
Playing, and I would say to myself, "What is that?" And I would lie there for 5 or 10 minutes and listen to it.
If there was ever a sentence I never thought I'd see being written or heard out loud, it's this.
Now, when we used to get into bed, it only happened to us not at the same... Yeah, we were never awake at the same time. But the bed would begin to vibrate. And it would be a gentle vibration at first.
I beg your pardon?
And it got worse and worse.
That's how
I'm literally trying not to laugh, and you push it. You push it, and I have no choice.
you bruise your husband's ego. The thing is, I feel real bad for Kelly. I mean, I suppose this could be an act from her, but it definitely feels more authentic and genuine to me. But the problem with these two, it very much comes across as a bullshit act. Personally, I don't believe a word of it.
There were other things that happened. The bed, as Kelly said, had a pulse and a heartbeat.
Like a heartbeat, yeah.
And when you were in your bed, it would come and lift the covers and tug at them.
What I'm watching on screen here is so mental that I'm actually struggling to put into words how I feel. So instead, I'm just going to play this clip right here from the Fear the Living podcast video, so you can all hear my thoughts when I first watched this clip.
My biggest question right now is, why do you need a fucking bed to say any of this? Like, you can tell the story without getting in a bed.
It's all about production. They're trying to show that we can bring a bed onto the stage. Don't doubt us. That's what I'm getting out of it. I'm not, yeah, you can use your imagination. God forbid I ask anybody to do that. But yeah, I guess they wanted to show a visual, even knowing the guy looks absolutely uncomfortable, oddly enough, while he's doing it. This whole thing does not. I don't buy it. I myself don't buy it.
It's insulting.
in the Sally.
This is around the time where there was like so many different paranormal stories coming out of the woodwork. Like, they just, so many of them. And it seemed like there was a lot of people just trying to bank off of these ideas. I know that's kind of fucked up of me to say. I'm basically just insinuating that a lot of them could have lied and have made up these stories to get out there to the public, to get books written, to get movies made. But that's essentially what happened after all of this stuff happened, right? Movies got made, and they made a lot of money. They made a lot of money from that because they were taking advantage of people's beliefs. They took advantage of people. They want people to believe in this stuff so they can sell more books. They want people to be freaked out. They want people to think about the possibilities of there being something out there, which I'm all for. I love the thought that there is something more out there. I truly do. I love spirits and ghosts, and I love this talk. I love everything about it. But I do believe in also scam artists, and I believe in liars, and I believe in people who will take advantage of people. I 100% do.
It's insulting.
Sally Jesse Raphael show. Like when she kind of goes, "Oh, I'm going to get up and show you what it's like when bed sheets are touched." We know. We all own a fucking bed. Like, we all sleep in bed. We all have bed sheets. We know what it is. You don't need to show us. Like, you could have just sat on your fucking chair next to your niece who's distraught and like carried on supporting her and just tell us what it's like when a fucking bed sheets are pulled.
Al, you said something else happened to you that is very difficult to talk about even today. Can you share it with us?
Yes. One night, we were lying in bed. Carmen had already had fallen asleep. I felt this strange sensation coming over my body. It started at my feet and started climbing up through my body. Before I had a chance to reach over to Carmen to tell her something was wrong, I was froze. I couldn't move. And then I felt this stinging penetration in my anal area.
What the fuck?
And I was trying to scream, to cry out to Carmen to help me somehow, and I couldn't move.
Is there something you want to tell us, Mr. Snedeker? If I was to play amateur psychologist for a moment, I might say that Al is a gay man struggling to find ways to explain his sexuality to his wife. Re-listen to this clip and keep in mind what I just said.
And then I felt this stinging penetration in my anal area. And I was trying to scream, to cry out to Carmen to help me somehow, and I couldn't move.
See what I mean? Now, of course, there is every chance that I'm completely wrong about this, but it would explain a few things, wouldn't it?
After a while, I don't know how long, it had gone away. There was no more sensation. I woke Carmen up and I said, "Carmen, I think I was just sodomized by this demon."
I understand. Hello, sir. Thanks, God.
This happened to me as well, Sally. It was a tedious kind of pain that happened. It was horrible pain.
Hemorrhoids are a special problem for women.
And when it would take me, sexually assault me, it would laugh with such pleasure. It enjoyed what it was doing to me, and I was so terrified I couldn't move.
I don't for 1 second believe any of this. I mean, just look at Al's face when he finished telling his story about being sodomized by a fucking ghost. Neither of them are showing any level of emotion or trauma or anything to convince me that anything...
But he's right. There is no, like, I don't feel these people are, like, emotionally scarred. I feel like they're just telling a ghost story. You would think that if you are being if you're talking about actually being assaulted by a demonic entity, something that is not of this world, I don't see a face like being the extent of how you are going to feel when talking about this. I feel like you would be more of along the lines of what the daughter is acting like, and where she can't even talk, she looks like she's genuinely disturbed. She looks almost pissed off to even be there. Like she doesn't want to be talking about this. But there's like a lack of something here. It's a bit bizarre.
As horrifying as this actually happened to them. So I think this is fair game to laugh at these bozos, because it's a special kind of fucked up to lie about this kind of shit.
It was the most crippling thing I've ever been through in my life, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
Why are they still lying in bed?
They called the neighbors, called the police, and no one was willing to help. But they did find a solution, and we'll find out what it was when we return.
She looks like she's just like, what did I just hear? I'll show the bed.
A close-up of the bed before the commercial break. So fucking dumb. Anyway, we now say goodbye to this bed for the rest of this fever dream of a TV show.
Carmen, I have to ask you, why did you just pick up your family and leave?
Sally, that would have been the first choice we would have had, but every time we did leave the house, it would follow us. I'd go to work, and the computer system would go down, or the phone system would go down. The people at work are the ones that gave me the phone number to the people that finally helped me. My husband went to work. His car, he parked and went inside the building. As he did, the car started back up and drove into the building.
That does not make sense.
We didn't want our family members harmed by whatever was harming us. It was bad enough.
But you're not a Buddhist.
One of them was given drugs or taken to a psychiatric hospital?
Yes, that was the oldest boy.
There is a lot of this story and the accounts that were debunked by the panel on the Fear the Living video. I'm not going to go into it all too much right now.
No, I might have to go and check that out myself to watch the full thing and listen to what they have to say.
So again, I urge you all to go watch that video because it's really interesting how deep and dark the case gets.
Is there any medical evidence that either of you had been raped? Did you go to a doctor and get physically examined?
Why would we?
I don't know. For evidence, maybe? Or maybe your own health? Maybe you both have some rare infectious contagious skin disease or bowel issues that the doctor can help you with. Or maybe you got a ghost STD. What if you got ghost AIDS? I mean, for the love of God.
I have never heard such a term in my entire life, but now it's got me thinking and a little bit worried. It's got me a little bit worried now.
If my arsehole started hurting out of nowhere for no reason whatsoever, you better believe I'm going to see a fucking doctor.
I mean, we couldn't see it. How did we expect anyone else to believe us?
But you felt a stinging pain?
And yet here we are on a talk show talking about it. To the world.
It wasn't like a normal rape.
Bloody hell, how many times has this fella been to know the difference? Also, can we just take a moment to let it sink in how wild the topics were on 80s daytime TV? Imagine this being played on TV today.
This was one of the most terrifying events that happened in the house. I've drawn some sketches, if I may. I sat down, and I was no longer in my room. I was in a dark room. I don't know if you can catch this on camera. I was in complete darkness. I couldn't feel the temperature of my skin. I couldn't hear myself speak. I couldn't see anything but blackness.
So you had the lights off, is what you're saying.
This is how I feel when I watch Mackie and Amanda.
I went into this place. It was called Ithram, a desert road of hot tears, and I was taken down this road. I went into this place. It was called Ithram, a desert road of hot tears, and I was taken down this...
Pause!
I don't know about this either.
The desert road of hot tears.
This actually genuinely sounds like somebody... Is it bad that I would say I would recommend a therapist here? I don't even know. I don't buy this really actually happened. I'm just going to be blunt about that. I don't buy that this really happened. I think these people, and they ran with the story... Potentially, like Side Eye Guy said, that's very fascinating that he said to cover up a lot of maybe like the things that have happened throughout the house, and maybe they're just using it, and this is a way they're profiting off of it. using their tragedies as to make profit is
dreaming.
I don't know.
I have crazy dreams.
What the fuck is that?
There's no way she knows these words and these names.
This
Loraine
is a Billy
Warren told
Joel
us
album
what that
cover.
You guys
This is
do know
Billy-
that Ed Warren taught art class too, right?
Has there ever been any research or anything saying, trying to find out who exactly these spirits were?
Yes.
Yes.
We had some researchers come in on the night that I discovered that there were other entities in the house. I called some people called the Warrens.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. The Warrens will be front and center stage a little later in the show.
You know definitely that it is a male spirit?
No, there is no gender in the spirit's world.
Then what the fuck is the ghost sodomizing you with? A ghost?
Yeah, okay. Okay, alright,
Ghost dildo? Ghost anal beads? A ghost strap-on?
Next, the neighbors.
The hand.
We found while investigating this case who say, gee, they don't believe a word of the Snedeker story.
You were molested. Now, were you ever molested outside of your home? Did they follow you? Like you said that they would follow you if you would leave.
What an insanely dumb question. But in the context of this insanely dumb story, it actually makes total sense to ask.
One night I ran down the street with Kelly.
It actually does. Like since they actually, had said that it follows them wherever they go. Have they ever been dealt with like that outside of their actual house?
Kelly, being sodomized the whole way. One night I...
Insanely dumb story. It...
What did she just say?
Actually makes total sense to ask.
One night I ran down the street with Kelly, being sodomized the whole way.
Why would you say that with a smile on your face, first off? Like it's a joke. Oh man, how does anybody believe anything they're saying?
Oh my fucking God. Listen, we all know isn't funny. We all know this is messed up. But this is so insane that all of my brain is completely shut off and the only place left I've got to go is laughter. Also, this is exactly the face I'd expect someone to pull after saying they were repeatedly essayed.
Excuse me, is this Sarcasm 101?
They were molested in their beds. Why didn't you just leave that next morning? You have children to worry about.
Exactly.
Where can we go?
Anywhere. Anywhere. Not just a matter of
They're
that.
clapping. They're actually, it's a good point to make. It's like, if you are being, like, assaulted by this so-called entity, why the fuck are your kids still in the house? Yeah, that's a very serious question. That's a very good point.
What about the fact that everywhere we went,
it followed
us?
Yes, convenient little plot device.
There's always a convenient little answer for that kind of stuff.
That, isn't it?
While we were investigating this story, we came across some people who live in the Snedeker's old neighborhood. And they say they have some serious doubts about the Snedeker's story. In fact, they say the Snedekers are making the whole thing up.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Meet Richard, Yvonne,
Oh, they're on the show with them? That's awkward.
and Jim. Richard, why don't you believe the Snedeker story?
Well, I think the most obvious reason for me was the inconsistencies in it.
Now, you moved into their apartment after they left?
Correct, the same one they were living in.
Oh, okay.
When all this was supposedly happening. I think I researched it with my wife. We talked to people. As a matter of fact, a close relative of yours told me that there was nothing to it, that you were making it up.
They're sitting right next to them and talking about this. Man, the freaking cojones this guy has to just be like, they said you were making up, right to his face.
Just for the money.
Could you tell me which relative you spoke to? Because I have...
The whole show just kind of descends into a bickering match between the Snedekers and those who think they're talking complete bollocks. I'm going to move things along a little bit here.
Richard, I really don't want any harm to come to you, but we did have an exercise.
My question...
I'm sure she meant that she doesn't want any hauntings to come onto him, but it still kind of sounds like a threat to me.
That's what I thought it was for a second. I'm like, oh my God. Fuck, I'm sorry. I questioned you. Good God, oof. That still happens today when you question certain people.
My response to this is, if the ghost followed you...
Look, I don't want no harm to come to you.
Down the street, you were so concerned that the ghost was going to harm your relatives, your friends, then the house wasn't haunted, the ghosts were from you.
After you, that's right.
Because I have had nothing. I have not heard a creaking board. I have not heard anything that would suggest that that house is haunted whatsoever.
Slam dunk of a point here, Richard. Because as you'll hear later, Ed Warren says that he believes the house itself was haunted.
Obviously, the exorcism worked then. You're very lucky.
There was no exorcism.
I don't think there was an exorcism.
I dig down 12 inches behind every corner of the house.
So you got behind in your rent, and that's when it started.
No, you know what happened?
No, I'm sorry. Pow! Right in the kisser.
God damn, they came swinging. I'm so glad I watched this. This is fucking happening. Can we get more shows like this?
Behind every corner of the house. So you got behind in your rent, and that's when it started.
No, you know what happened?
No, I'm sorry.
Look at the husband's face. Right, true.
Ow! Right in the kisser.
It sounds a little bit dramatized by the wife the whole idea of the ghost and the spirits and everything.
You can't single out the wife like that. It's the husband too. They're both
Yeah.
just as bad as each other. They're both making equally ridiculous bullshit claims.
It sounds somewhat dramatic. I've heard people talk about ghosts and spirits, and I'm not saying that that can't happen.
I am.
The other thing is I was wondering if you, one, if you have a book out, and two, if you were either behind in your mortgage
why we're here.
or your rent. Because that could be cause for the dramatization.
No.
Or that
No, that's not true.
No, we were not behind in our rent.
Yeah, the whole reason they're on the show is because of their book. So that's a great question from the audience member there. Also, it's even easier just to leave your house when you're renting, especially back in the 80s. It would have been real easy just to leave.
Yes, that's what it is. Even the landlord said they got behind. He never had a problem until they got behind in the rent. Then all of a sudden...
The landlord knew there was a problem with that house.
No, the landlord didn't know.
Wait a minute. If the landlord said there was a problem in the house,
Ask his daughter.
There was a lady living upstairs
Sally.
in the house. The whole time this was going on, there was an apartment upstairs. This lady got disgusted. She got moved out because she was disgusted with all the publicity that was going on.
What'd she say, Tammy?
She experienced.
She
come to me
experienced
and
nothing.
talked to me.
Yes,
Yes, she did. You were not there. You
I've been in that place.
She was there.
researchers.
Good God.
And she allowed the priest in.
So why did she tell the TV people that nothing happened? Why did she tell us that nothing happened? Why did she tell the newspaper that nothing
She
happened?
told me she had a reputation.
You see how much they're all like jumping in now and trying to get over him? Like they're all trying to talk over him? They're screaming and stuff. Even the husband started jumping on in and started screaming at the guy. It's suspicious. It's a little suspicious to me.
Today's video is brought to you by Australia's own Eco Go fertilizer products. You smelt it, we dealt it. Yeah, that really is the photo that comes up on Google.
I'm also a neighbor, and Joan and her husband were to our next door neighbor's house for a pool party when we were there. And when Joan went into the house to tend her babies, her husband said that there had been some funny things going on and that he was concerned for his wife. Well, this was in July. We had been hearing odd noises about 3 o'clock in the morning. So I decided to put a journal next to the bed and write down what went on during the night.
So you're a neighbor who everything that happened at night, you would document.
Right.
She looks exactly like the kind of person who would do something like this.
Here comes Karen.
And I discovered that there were usually things going on in the neighborhood that explained the things they put in the newspaper.
Anyway, that's enough of the neighbours bickering. Some of the audience members have support for the Snedekers. It seems that most of them think that they're full of shit.
Which is, when you start throwing in the logical aspects of it, people do tend to lean towards the logic. Because it's like, they are making some good points that would cause this, that would explain that. Yeah, it makes perfect sense that the audience started clapping and turning on the family. Because, yeah, the way they were presenting themselves did not feel believable from the get-go.
Let's just move things along.
They are the professional Ghostbusters, who Al and Carmen said saved their lives. Ed, you both launched an investigation into the house, and you discovered a very shocking thing that actually happened in the funeral parlor involving the bodies. What happened?
Well, we feel through our investigation that necrophilia, or abuse of corpses, had occurred in that home. Not necessarily by the undertaker. It could be anybody that went in there.
The Warrens' explanation on why this cockless ghost is sodomizing everyone is because of necrophilia, back when the house was a funeral parlor. Of course, there is absolutely no proof whatsoever that any of this is true. It was more than likely plucked out of thin air by Lorraine's psychic abilities. This whole thing is like peak bullshit Warren's nonsense.
The priest that was involved there was a Father A, who was on 2020. And there was also 3 other priests, and this can be borne out through the official records of the Chancellery in Hartford.
Ed automatically comes out defensive.
Yeah,
Like
and he's
instead
lying.
of telling the story, he's like, it's like he's defensive. Like he's like trying to convince everybody that this is really what happened.
He knows the audience are against him because the big round of applause seems to be coming from those debunking it.
There was never any confirmation. He never provides any proof of the things he says.
No, he just says it definitively.
Yeah.
Which if he actually had come out there with like documents and like police reports that said that there was actually necrophilia happening within this funeral parlor, that would have definitely obviously helped their case just a little bit. But the fact that they're going out there and based on someone's just because they say that happened, and that would be a connection to why they're being assaulted. Yeah, it's just too convenient. Feels too made up. There's no proof that's documenting it, so you shouldn't buy it. Yeah, I find it to be off too. And again, yeah, they're right. He came out defensive, not really trying to understand where everybody else is coming from. He just obviously is one-sided on this, and he's going to stick with his guns because that obviously will help the book sell and whatever else they've decided to do for this, right?
Threw out necrophilia out of nowhere without providing any context there.
How about a name? Just one name.
Father A is a name I give you. I don't have to give
a name.
What we're watching here is angry old Ed Warren. Long done are the days where he and Loraine were invited to university lectures to retell their nonsense. By this stage in their careers, they were kind of becoming old news. And Ed comes across, at least to me, as an angry old man who is bitter that he doesn't quite get the attention and recognition that he used to get.
Why should
name.
we give you a name? These are secret things. We are Catholic,
if it's
and we
secret,
respect.
you're sitting here talking about being raped and sodomized by some sort of entity, but you won't give a name.
I'm telling you what happened to me. I'm not telling you. You gotta believe me.
We had investigators.
telling you what
Were
happened.
you in the house?
No.
Oh, there it is. Were you there? Were you there?
I'm standing. I lived across the street before you people
Were you in the
moved
house?
Still live there.
Oh my God! Shut the fuck up, you guys. Stop pointing fingers. Shut the fuck up and listen.
I know there have been some arguments so far in the show, but Ed takes things to a real nasty and confrontational level.
I'd like to know how much you
Why would I
three,
run all the way down the street
especially
when I
you,
live across the
are
street?
getting paid off by the landlord to do this kind of stuff. Because you know
How
as
much
well
money
as
are
we
you
do,
making today?
You know as well as we do that what went on in that house actually occurred. We have the proof.
Calm down.
I think that these are all very contributing factors to why the phenomena was as intense as it was in that particular home.
Nice for Loraine to finally join in, and this is pretty much all she says. She stays mute for the rest of the video, and I've got a pretty good reason why that is.
Drugs heighten the sensitivity. We know that when a person takes drugs, they're almost in the same state as a clairvoyant.
Oh, God.
Often thought those clairvoyant types were high as kites.
We insisted that it would be good for them to write a book because people like these out here would know that there is help for them if this ever occurred to them.
I think we all know the real reason why the Warrens insisted that the Snedekers write a book. Exposure and fame leads to more money.
Yep.
You know that the priest who went into that house had experiences so bad in their own rectories.
In their own what?
Rectories.
Oh, right. For a moment there, I thought Ed said something completely different. I mean, you can't blame me for mishearing that since we're talking about a sodomizing ghost.
Rectories that they wouldn't even go back into that house again.
Sally,
And the home was
you're not gonna give us the name.
I need to be very careful how I say this, but the way Ed is shouting across Loraine, points his finger over Loraine, and shouts over Loraine when she very rarely attempts to actually talk.
Go back into that house again.
Sally,
And the general look on Loraine and her body language in this video just paints the picture of someone who is very, very uncomfortable to me.
Who is a skeptic on this whole matter? Joe, you say the investigations the Warrens conducted is baloney. Why?
Well, I've investigated haunted houses for some 20 years and a professional psychologist. Pardon?
Is there such a thing?
I've not met a house that I thought was haunted. I think the Warrens have never met a house that they didn't think was haunted.
I think that you are mistaken.
Joe Nickell was a skeptic.
I think that you're mistaken.
And investigator into the paranormal. A legend in his field who died very recently at the time of me recording
Oh. Wow, may he rest in peace. Wow, that was, 2 months ago, if that.
This video. I know a fair few people on this stage have passed away since the filming of the Sally Jesse Raphael show, but since Joe's death was so recent, I want to give him a special RIP. But back to the video, Joe does take the first jab at Ed, and then it really descends into proper Jerry Springer meltdown.
I was on the show with this man once before.
It's my turn.
You made a statement.
I've heard that you were a loudmouth who shouted people down. Just give me my chance to talk.
I won't give you a chance.
You did that to me last show we were on.
Yeah. Ed's not helping himself at all here. This is the first time I'm actually watching this. For him to actually sit there and say, I'm not going to give you a chance to talk because you're spewing lies, tells me that the reason why you're not letting him talk is because you're the one who's spewing the lies, and you do not want him to call you out on things, because if he does call you out on things, you're gonna struggle to try to get around it. So it's easier to like talk over him and keep repeating what you're saying by saying everybody else is lying. And here's why. I have proof from this person, this person, this person. But where are these people and why haven't they told us their side of it and what they personally believe? But you just keep saying that these people are real people. Ed is actually exactly what I picture every fucking fake person to sound like. Okay, I know he's passed away. I know he's deceased, and may he rest in peace. But when I'm watching things like this is exactly the same kind of tone I've seen so many other people in this field take when they start getting questioned. 100%.
Joe, I'll give you your chance.
You're a loudmouth, Warren, and we all know it. But if you'll just let me finish.
When you're concerned, I'm a loudmouth.
Go ahead, Joe.
Try to show a little class.
I don't have a lot of time.
No, I'm not going to give class to somebody who's sitting.
Look at this. He's not letting him talk at all. Everybody was kind of clapping against Ed because he's just not shutting the fuck up.
You'll have nothing but lying.
Ed, let Joe just explain.
Be careful who you call a liar.
Well, what would you do about it?
That's where that scene came from that. What are you going to do about it?
Oh, scared.
But he wasn't defending his wife. He was just, yeah. In the movie, he was defending his wife. But here, he was like, what are you going to do about it? Because he's calling him a liar constantly.
Give him timbers. Shut up, man.
Yes, one thing that the houses that sincere people report that they think are haunted usually follow certain patterns. This is a hodgepodge of the sort of ghost tale, poltergeist, part demon, part this, part that.
Were you there?
We saw a similar pattern.
Shut the fuck up. Were you there?
With the Amityville Horror, a case that the Warrens thought was genuine. It turned out to be a blatant hoax.
Nobody ever proved that.
Concocted over several bottles of wine.
Can
the
you
evidence.
Prove it?
Yes, I can prove
can't.
it. Yes,
You
I
cannot
can.
prove
It's
it.
been proven.
No, it has never
The
been
evidence
proven.
is very clear in the case of the Amityville Horror.
Ed is making himself look like the biggest jackass right now. Sorry, Ed Warren, but holy shit.
Or the whole packaging of this story. The book says it's for Halloween release. The book was written by a professional fiction writer who writes horror stories.
Joe,
this whole packaging is a crock.
Well done. Well, I really feel like the only thing missing from your description of your first trip into the house is a corpse. I mean, blood on the walls and wax and makeup. And you also sound like you're reading a script. I'm not saying spirits and ghosts don't exist, but you sound so rehearsed.
That's exactly what I've been thinking this whole show. It
Damn.
really does sound scripted and rehearsed to me. On a side note, it's nice to see Lisa Kudrow on the Sally Jesse Raphael show before she made it big time.
Oh, I'm sorry that you feel that way.
Yeah, I was wondering, you've been talking about two different kinds of ghosts coming in. Are they either male or female, or is it always a male that's in your home?
No, ghosts have no gender, I don't think.
Fucking idiot.
I'm not sure, but I don't believe they have a gender.
Maybe it uses ghost thing.
But that would make no sense to Ed's story because he said that there was a lot of necrophilia happening in that house. And it was happening from whoever. Now, these people were, whoever they were supposedly people who were once alive. And that's why they were experiencing it. But if they don't have a gender, that makes no fucking sense to me. It doesn't, nothing is consistent here. Nothing.
Fingers to get freaky with you? I don't know. Do ghosts even have fingers?
Yes, I'd like to know if y'all still being haunted by these ghosts.
No, we're not.
The exorcism apparently worked.
It's so dumb.
Thanks to my guests, and whatever you believe about the story, the book is worth picking up. It's called In a Dark Place, The Story of a True Haunting. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, yeah, this whole video is one big giant plug for the Snedekers to sell their book. 'Cause of course it was. What a great big bunch of insanity this was. But I gotta admit, I loved every second of it. Link is in the description for that Fear the Living video. So, if you like what you watch here, please leave a like and subscribe to the Side Eye Guy channel. Right, I'm off to set up my next live stream, so I'm lying in my bed, because why the fuck not? Ta very much. Cheerio.
I can't get over the fact that he just would not let him talk. Blew my freaking mind. Loraine, apparently being as quiet as she was, not talking too much. She just said the house was haunted. It's basically what she said. But Ed was just like, every time someone would talk, he would just try to talk over them. And even influence the husband to start pointing his finger and like getting on top of them too. It's like, that's how you know they're full of shit. I'm sorry I'm using that term, but that's how you know, because they won't let anybody else talk and describe exactly what's really going on, because they'll have a problem and a struggle getting around whatever they say, because they might know it's true, and to try to make up anything to convince the audience otherwise would be very difficult at that point, because logic is now being thrown in. Once logic is being thrown in, things start going south for whoever might be making up a story, because it's hard to argue against logic, right? So let me know in the comments what you thought of this. What did you think of Ed and Loraine Warren in this specific video? Let me know. Hit the like button. I'll see you on the next one. Do take care.
Throwing down.